Hello everybody, it is the me, GamePenguin21, and today, well, this kind of dogs the pony show now, doesn't it? I think that's a weird way of saying it. This story kind of broke last week, and I immediately hopped on things after I saw Gara of the Rage making an actual video on this. So, in order to get ahead of this as well, and because, you know, I like to talk about news and this, guess what apparently happened over last weekend? Yeah, apparently that Steam was hacked and they stole about 89 million stuff, where it reports on various media outlets. Not really what happened, at least according to Steam, and they responded within like the hour that this thing actually ended up doing. Like even when it was in the news, they came up with this statement in like an hour. So, you know. But what actually happened? Well, Nextara here says hackers stole data from 89 million Steam users, reports XDA. The attackers are acting for 5,000 for the database. The patrol advises users who haven't enabled two-factor authentication to change their passwords. Now, you might look at those numbers and be thinking, 89 million Steam users, but for $5,000 for the database. 5,000. Why? Like, that seems like you would be able to get much more from that. I would expect maybe, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 users that got this to be available for 5,000 if you're doing some weird conversion stuff correctly. Like, seriously, accounts for even, like, major outlets, like, that have been for sale on other platforms, allegedly. I don't know any of this, by the by. Go for much more. I don't fucking know. I'm not in that circles ever in the context of anything. But to kind of look at this in a way, why exactly are they asking for 89 million Steam users for only 5,000 in the database? Well, before we get into the videos proper, if you like, comment, favorite, and subscribe if you like my content, so blah blah. Anyway, but the actual note about the security of the Steam account from Steam themselves, by the by. You may have heard reports of leaks of older text messages that had previously been sent to Steam consumers. We have examined the leak sample and determined that this was not a breach of Steam's systems. We are digging into the source of the leak, which is compiled in fact if any SMS messages are unencrypted in transit and routed through multiple providers on the way to your phone. The leak consisted of older text messages that included one-time codes that were only valid for 15 minutes, for 15-minute time frames, and the phone numbers that were sent to were leaked did not associate the phone numbers with the Steam account per password information, payment information, or other personal data. Old text messages cannot be used to breach the security of your Steam account, and whenever a code is used to change a Steam email or passwords using Steam SMS, you will receive a confirmation via email or a Steam secure messages. In this time frame, I'm fairly certain, unless you've received either the confirmation email or Steam secure messages, you would have known this. You do not need to change your passwords and phone numbers as a result of this event. It's a good reminder to treat your account security messages that you have not explicitly requested as suspicious. We recommend regularly checking your Steam account security at any time, and they also recommend using the Steam Mobile Authenticator app, which is their first-party authenticator app, in order to give us the best chance to send secure messages to your account in any way, shape, or form. Now, of course, there are ways to definitely get around this, and talking specifically about cybersecurity and people who know a bit more about cybersecurity, this breach was apparently from a third party. Now, the third party in question seems to be Trilio, or the account that accesses specific other accounts, and they specifically seem to be doing Steam stuff, though again, the routing for these is just strange. And I would say if you use, say, that specific app, you might not want to use that app. I would say, again, use the Steam Mobile Authenticator, and possibly, if you already use Google Authenticator for two-factor authentication in that context. Though Trello is not bad, and these seem to, again, be old 15-minute time frames of single-use codes, hence why it's only about 15K in terms of, or hence why it's only about 5K in terms of value, because those accounts are old and the routing numbers and stuff seem to not be the case. But of course, this had the internet up in flames, and you already know that the one particular PlayStation guys are doing that. We'll get into that. There's an Icon Era post already that we're going to tear into. But here's a couple of the random ones that I managed to find just by searching it up on Twitter. So Frost Spectre says, people using Steam, you might want to change your password. Seems like a data breach happened. Please share so more people are aware. With a we have a breach GIF here. Moving on to Hooks, Steam just got hacked. 89 million Steam accounts have been leaked/compromised. Turn on two-factor and change your passwords, lads. I love how, again, people say, oh yeah, it's a Steam hack because it's happened to be with Steam or a partner with Steam. It like Steam themselves even said this, it doesn't look like an actual hack thing. And again, another thing here is that Steam responded within like the hour or two that this actually ended up happening, which normally most other like things or most other outlets wouldn't respond for like months afterwards. Like, remember when PlayStation, like some of the PlayStation hacks, they didn't respond and acknowledge them for months and months for that, which was just very strange. But Steam responds instantly. And Peter Van Dam here says, for anyone who reads about the Steam hack today, the leak only contains phone numbers and outdated free two-factor authentication SM codes. And this is like the actual sort of database that was leaked. You can kind of take a look here about this, where 89 million Steam users got hacked. This does seem to be an article from specifically LinkedIn.com, so I wouldn't trust that. I'd trust more like Steam themselves. But again, this is another source that seems to be portraying this as actual other things where it's like just very weird. But moving on, PC Mag then picked this up where the 89 million accounts here, but readers added context. Valve has confirmed that the leak was of old text messages containing one-time codes that were valid for only 15 minutes. The leaked data did not associate the phone numbers with a Steam account, password information, payment information, or other personal data for specifically Steam. This just seems to be a hack that happened to be something that might have been tangentially related to Steam, but again, it didn't seem to indicate any sorts of actual information that would have someone be able to hack your Steam account from the data leaks that they have seen here and from the data leaks that have been talked about online. But that still, again, with all this information, did not stop PlayStation fanboys from talking about this. With Nate here saying PSN on Steam, third-party vendor hacked. It all makes sense now. Where, again, they bring up this whole thing saying that the vendor itself was hacked and it worked in the past and appears to the source of this breach, and the vendor's name appears in the logs. According to the post, it's not unusual for Valve and another major companies to rely on third-party hosts for tasks for two-factor authentication texts. Now, the unthinkable thing here is that Valve actually has its own app that it uses that is first-party, by the by, which again is the Steam Mobile Authenticator app, the Steam Guard. That thing has been around for a long time and has been used, and I use it personally. I actually have had my account stolen at least once or twice because of dumb decisions of giving a password to a scammer. At least twice. And both times I actually ended up getting it back within like a day or two, with very minimal damage to my account, other than maybe the loss of some money because I ended up like giving him money on stupidity charges, so oops. But that's really all that ended up happening, was I lost some money, and that money was a bit insignificant. It was around $100, which was, again, several years ago, and I know that people are like, oh, well, you said $100 was a thing. Yes, $100 for a product is that, but $100 when the scammer gets away with, that's maybe not. But overall, this was actually made in response to well, a nib thing, as I found out, and it was replied to. And what ended up happening to that? Oh, I see. Well, you deleted it. Interesting. But moving on to, of course, the Icon Era post, because of course there's an Icon Era post about this. These guys were basically chomping at the bit here. With the Steam hack saying for 89 million data breaches there via VGA247. Again, there was a bunch of news outlets that were reporting this. VGA247 did end up reporting on this, as well as everyone else, and now they're issuing corrections. But Brian here says at least they didn't have to sign it for PSN though. Yeah, we didn't, because we got that decision reversed for the most part, at least on very specific game engines and things. So yeah, we didn't have to sign up for that, and all these leaks and this hack is not even really associated with Steam, as far as we can tell here. Oops. But of course, I went into the actual Icon Era post here, and I did end up finding it, and here's some responses to that, as well as some quote retweets from some people you might recognize. Gamer Lexiel says, remember one of the reasons PC dudes cried about making a PSN account was because I'm not giving Sony my data, they get hacked? Yeah, again, Steam itself didn't get hacked, the third party got hacked, and yeah, I'm not giving them to PSN accounts because the PSN hack was far more substantial, because it actually had compromised data, i.e. like cards, phone numbers, and actual things that could link back to stuff. Oh, but this also contains phone numbers and other stuff as well. Those phone numbers are not necessarily, or not even really linked to an account verification system. It's more of the account verification system to text you the actual thing, which seems to not indicate that, again, these aren't associated with it. These might be associated with the company, but they're not associated with the person involved specifically. Gavatorn here says, but PC Cucks said Steam was unhackable. It was PlayStation with bad security. Yes, Steam has not been officially hacked, at least for the most part. Though some people might try to spin specific stories that were seemingly older, like 5,000. Like there was a thing where people were trying to say, oh, we found a thing where 500 plus accounts were hacked and like actually scammed out of something. It's like, are you sure? Because I don't think that that's the case, and that story ended up being not correct. I ended up like calling about that too. Zender Cage says an update with a clarification from that, saying I have been contacted by a Valve representative, and they stated that it was they stated that they do not use Trilo. From what they say here, again, this was also in the clarification statement that they presented here. Just me with a but PSN. What about PSN? Finish your sentence, my guy. PlayStation Network links your accounts to you specifically, end to end from their servers, and their servers got hacked. Therefore, making your whole thing, like, possibly on the internet. When Valve gets hacked, it's a third party that has very little, if any, association with it. And again, they have a first-party app that you could use for two-factor authentication, which was what was leaked, which hasn't been hacked. Mimo Dakin93, I guess, says, L Steam, not a save place anymore. They don't get my datas again. Oh no. Just change your password or change stuff if you really care. If you really care about your cybersecurity. I should probably actually change my password now that I'm thinking about it. So I might actually end up doing that for my own safety, even though I know this is false. But congratulations, you probably weren't going to play on Steam anyway. Next up here, a few of the retweets. We have Pro-Life with remember when PC peeps refused to create a PSN account to play Helldivers 2? Good times. Remember when we got that decision reversed? Because, you know, the PSN account wasn't necessarily required at first for security reasons, and they just wanted to collect your data for, you know, PlayStation specifically. And Steam doesn't necessarily do that, really, as far as I could tell. Maybe they do, and that, like, they keep it on a secure server, but this hack is not them being hacked. So Good times, man. Good times. Next up here, we have G of Slowat with remember PC gamers worried PlayStation logins would compromise their personal data. Guess Steam isn't so secure. I mean, again, do I have to reiterate myself at this point? They're really taking this to be like, oh, the Steam gets hacked, Steam gets hacked. Also, again, using Icon Era as a source here, despite the fact that some people will be like, oh, well, the VG 247 is like a reliable source. Shut the fuck up, all right? They reported on it, Steam reported on it before, and they corrected it, and now people are correcting the information. So, Darkborn here. Oh, welcome back, finally. Damn, that's crazy. Didn't lots of Steam dudes get mad at they forced PSN logins because they think Sony can be hacked easily? I hope this is resolved quickly, though, and it isn't too bad. Correct. It was resolved quickly, and it isn't too bad because the actual thing that they utilized and hacked wasn't Steam itself. It was two-factor authentication codes. Hence why, again, they were asking for $5,000 for 89 million accounts. Again, to kind of put this into perspective, the actual rate, if you look at some previous hacks when they've offered them up as like ransom, whatever, don't you think that like if they had 89 million user accounts that they would offer like a far bigger reward for it? Like, don't you think that that's the case? Because again, wasn't there another time when, say, like Naughty Dog was hacked not too long ago, like a couple years ago, and they said like we want like $2 million or $3 million something dollars for everything, and that was just about, say, I don't know, like a company database and about maybe several hundred administrator accounts or several hundred like accounts that were for devs. Granted, those accounts do have far more value in terms of illegal black market trade, allegedly. I don't fucking know. But, like, don't you think if someone had 89 million accounts that were user accounts that they could just literally steal all the information, money, and shit from, do you not think that they would offer, want a bigger reward from the company for that, for whatever reason, before they leaked it? Like, come on, man. Use your brain a little bit. Max Stumer with, I'm not making a PSN account because Sony got hacked. I await the cringy, this different tweets. This is different tweets. I mean, it is different. It does have, like, the information of this is different because it wasn't Steam that got hacked. It was a third party, and a third party that utilizes two-factor authentication codes with seemingly no connection to the customers involved. And again, this was a third party, not like the Steam Authenticator hack thing. Like, you get that. I myself didn't get any information that this hack even occurred on my phone, so I'm fairly certain that we're a bit safer over here, because again, when we get hacked, only like two-factor authentication codes seem to be the big thing here, with phone numbers that don't seem to link back to any Steam accounts or any personal information. But when Sony gets hacked, all of your personal information is gone. There's a difference. Retro here with awaiting the PC fan, Xbox fan outrage. I mean, what outrage? They came out with a statement. Like, Sony literally came out, not Sony, Valve literally came out with a statement within like 2 to 3 hours of this. So, obviously, that's a thing that they did. And it's just so dumb that happened. Like, yeah, it's dumb that, like, over 89 million accounts for the two-factor authentication seem to be hacked, but they were 15-minute codes that are practically useless unless you want to, say, give it to some sort of data scraper or something to be able to maybe predict two-factor authentication codes. Again, if this hack occurred within 15 minutes and then everyone's got their account hacked, like, it was a different company, and it was an app that I actually end up seeming to use here. So just don't use that app and just change your password. And then finally, to round off this video with a couple of people that are actually familiar faces here, we have JTech TV with PC fans are suspiciously quiet. Now, I would have actually liked to do it, but you might notice at the bottom there, the replies and shits are kind of grayed out. That's because JTech TV has me blocked. Congratulations. You dumb. But of course, I went into the things here and says, well, PC can't keep using Sony getting hacked way more. And then he says, exactly, 100%. Again, this was a third party. This was not Steam getting hacked. Steam did not get hacked. That's not what happened here. And it seems that people keep thinking that, oh, the Steam hack is a big thing. And finally, to kind of bring it down onto the home page of the fun zone here, we have King Thrash, the gatekeeper. When the fuck did he, like, do that? I guess. Can't wait to see divorced PC filth boys say Sony's ponies are salty over this somehow. I'm not gonna say you're salty, I'm just gonna say you're misinformed, and you're also utilizing this and twisting misinformation from, again, Icon era here. That's a very completely reliable I can't finish that with a straight face. They are not reliable at all. They are, like, literally the most biased, like, news outlet that you can ever have. And again, a lot of the corrections here was really funny. So, in essence, no, there was no Steam hack. Your Steam accounts are fine, though. I would say if you are concerned, if you really are concerned, make sure you get the Steam Authenticator app. Use only stuff from Steam. Give Steam the trust that it deserves. And if you are very, very trying to like be safe out there, I would say then definitely change your passwords if it makes you feel any better. Not necessarily needed, but definitely a thing worth doing, as some people like who are in cybersecurity say that they regularly change out their passwords every time, which is fine. I would definitely recommend that, and say to then, you know, change your passwords every now and then, maybe, and just keep an eye on your Steam account for if it, and again, this is more for personal safety. This is not necessarily because of this, but if it makes you feel safer, it makes you feel safer. But if that all is the case, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Ranted to This Microphone about a hack that may or may not exist because ghost people in my computers decided that I wanted to bleed Microsoft for whatever reason. I do not know where I went with that. But if you like what it is that I do want to support me in any other way, shape, or form other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit all the links down in the description below. My new album, I think album 7 right now. I'm still working on it. I think that it's about ready to go, but I'm going to release it probably towards the end of summer. So that's going to maybe be a thing. But apart from that, do feel free to follow me on all the socials. I stream on Twitch most of the weekends, and I also stream on Sunday here on this channel, Single Player Sunday. Come watch me play some video games. If you like, and again, my name is GamePangs21, and a peace off